All right, guys. So for problem 9, we have this table of data that Portland gathered. Basically, they measured the temperature versus the number of people that bike to work. As you can notice with this, like if it's cold, not that many people go, but the hotter it gets, more people go. So we're trying to see if there's a relationship between those two values. So what we're measuring is we're going to be measuring the temperature versus the number of bikers. Right? And let's see what we can do with it. The very first thing is we got to get this thing in our calculator to calculate the trend line. What you're going to want to do is, well, turn your calculator on. You may want to click second plus 712 to clear any data. And I'm going to go to this button right here, the stat, and edit's the very first option. I'm going to click on edit. And as you can see, I kind of preloaded my calculator with it. I just entered in the data from my table. Right? And this one, there should be 7 pieces of data, and it should line up. So our first question says, find the trend line that represents this data. Actually, the very first question says this. Let's answer that. Say, what would your window need to be to view this data? Well, our x values are our temperatures. So if we look at our low temperature, it's like 58. So we just need something lower than 58. I don't know. We could view like 55 degrees. And it looks like our hot day is 96, so let's do like 55 to 100. That window will show us all of our data. Our Y-min is the number of people biking to work. So we can say like 700. Looks like we didn't go below 700 and 1300. Now these are kind of not really opinion questions, but there's lots of different answers to them. It's just basically a good window to view all our data. If we want to see our window with those, our data with those windows, would look like this. So 55 to 100 and 700 to 1300. I just plug those values in. Okay. And then I'm going to go to stat plot, and I just want to turn the plot on so I can see the values right there. So I just went up there and clicked enter. And now when I graph it, you can see the kind of line of best, like the line. And we're going to try to find the line of best fit that goes right through there. The way you do that is you click stat. Just like we're going to edit our list, we're going to go right to calculate and down to number 4. That's going to be the linear regression, which we call the trend line, which is also the line of best fit. So I click enter and enter again, and this is what I get. They give me the equation in terms of y equals ax plus b. That's the very first line to say, hey, I'm going to give you an answer in y equals ax plus b. We say mx plus b, they say ax plus b, potato, potato. They say our a value is, it looks like about 12, so I'm just going to round that to 12. And our b value is 85, so I'm just going to put that at 85. And that's our line of best fit. If I go to my y equals to graph this, if I graph y equals 12x plus 85, watch what happens. That line of best fit does a pretty good job of, tying some structure to those dots, right? So that's our trend line. That's the answer to B. What they're asking us in part C is, hey, what's the slope mean? The slope. It's helpful to look at a graph. That slope means, because 12 is the same thing as 12 over 1, right? So that means if I go over 1, on my graph I go up 12. So let's think about that. If I go over 1, what? Temperature. We're talking about degrees. So for every degree it gets warmer, 12 new bikers decide, hey, today's the day I can bike. If it gets another degree warmer, 12 more bikers say, hey, let's do this thing. So every degree will get us 12 more bikers biking to work. That's what the data says. We're going to use our trend line to predict how many people would bike on a 100-degree day. So we got to think, was y our number of degrees or was x? In this problem, if you remember our graph, right, it was the degrees were our y value, and the number of bikers was degrees were our x value, the number of bikers was our y value. So if they say it's 100 degrees, x is my degrees, so I'm going to plug it in there. So it's 12 times 100 plus 85. So it's y equals 1200 plus 85. So we would expect our y value, the number of bikers, to be 1285.